Today, we will talk about a great king and religious leader, Solomon, known as Sulayman in Islamic tradition, who stands as a towering figure of antiquity with a life and reign defining the very concept of a golden age. To understand the sheer magnitude of his existence, one must look at the transition of power from his father, the warrior King David, to the philosopher King Solomon. This was a pivotal moment in the history of the Levant, where the boundaries of the kingdom had been secured by the sword, leaving Solomon the unique opportunity to build a nation defined by the mind and the spirit. Born to David and Bathsheba, Solomon was raised in a palace that echoed with the songs of the Psalms and the strategic discussions of generals, yet he was destined for a different path. While David was a man of blood and battle, Solomon was destined to be a man of rest and reconstruction. His name itself, related to the word shalom, meaning peace, was a prophecy of the quietude that would characterize his 40-year tenure on the throne. When the time came for Solomon to take the crown, the transition was fraught with the typical dangers of ancient succession. His older brother Adonijah had already attempted to seize the throne, but the prophet Nathan, ever the guardian of David's divine mandate, intervened. Nathan spoke to Bathsheba, advising her on how to approach the aging David to ensure that the promise of Solomon's kingship was fulfilled. It was through this careful orchestration that Solomon was hurried to the Gihon spring, mounted upon David's own mule, and anointed by Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet. The sound of the shofar echoed through the streets of Jerusalem, and the people rejoiced so greatly that the earth rent with the sound of them. This was the beginning of a reign that would become the benchmark for wisdom and wealth in the ancient world. The most critical juncture of his early reign occurred at Gibeon, where the young king went to offer sacrifices. In the silence of the night, the Lord, God appeared to him in a dream, offering him a blank check for his future. Solomon's response was a masterclass in humility and leadership. He did not ask for the silver and gold of Ophir, nor did he ask for the heads of his enemies or an endless life. Instead, he spoke of his own inadequacy, calling himself a little child in the midst of a great people. He asked for an understanding heart to discern between good and evil. This specific request for discernment is what set him apart from every other monarch of his era. The response he received was a promise that because he had asked for the tools of justice rather than the toys of vanity, he would receive both. He was granted a mind so vast that his knowledge would encompass everything from the hyssop that grows out of the wall to the majestic cedars of Lebanon. The manifestation of this gift was immediate and became the stuff of a great legend. When the two women arrived at his court with one living child and one dead child, the world watched to see how a king could solve a case with no witnesses. By calling for a sword to divide the living babe, Solomon wasn't showing cruelty but a profound understanding of maternal biology and the human psyche. He knew that the true mother would rather lose her child to another woman than to the grave. When the real mother cried out in protection of the infant, Solomon saw the heartbeat of truth. This judgment rippled through the surrounding nations, signaling that a new kind of power had arrived in Jerusalem, one based on intellectual piercing rather than military piercing. As his fame grew, so did his ambitious architectural vision. The construction of the temple in Jerusalem was not merely a building project, it was a diplomatic and spiritual masterpiece. Solomon reached out to Hiram, the king of Tyre, a man who had been a loyal friend to his father David. Their correspondence is a fascinating look at ancient trade and mutual respect. Solomon asked Hiram for skilled laborers and the legendary cedars of Lebanon, promising in return vast quantities of wheat and pure oil. Thousands of men were conscripted for the work, which was done in such a way that no hammer, axe, or tool of iron was heard at the temple site while it was being built. The stones were finished at the quarry so that the house of God would rise in a silence that mirrored the peace of Solomon's reign. The interior was a sea of gold, with intricate carvings of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers, creating a physical space that attempted to bridge the gap between the earthly and the celestial. Solomon's diplomatic genius extended far beyond Phoenicia. He understood that a kingdom's strength was found in its connections. He transformed Israel into a global trade hub, controlling the major caravan routes between Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Arabia. His fleet of ships, manned by experienced Phoenician sailors, brought back gold, silver, ivory, apes, and peacocks from distant shores. The wealth that flowed into Jerusalem was so immense that silver became as common as stones in the city. Yet, he was not just a hoarder of riches, he was a seeker of truth. His court became a university of the ancient world. Poets, philosophers, and rulers traveled for months just to hear him speak. Among these was the Queen of Sheba, who arrived with a massive caravan of camels bearing spices and precious stones. She came to test him with hard questions, seeking to see if the rumors of his brilliance were mere exaggerations. After he answered every riddle and she saw the order of his house and the devotion of his servants, there was no more spirit left in her. She confessed that the half had not been told to her. In the Islamic tradition, the profile of Suleiman is elevated to that of a prophet who possessed authority over the unseen world. He is described as having the ability to command the wind, allowing him to travel great distances in a single morning. His relationship with the hoopoe bird and the ants shows a king who was in tune with the smallest of God's creatures. The Quranic account of his meeting with the Queen of Sheba focuses on the spiritual transformation of the queen, who, upon entering his palace and seeing the signs of divine favor, turned her heart toward the worship of the one true God. This reinforces the idea that Solomon's true wealth was not in his treasury, but in his ability to lead others toward a higher understanding of the Creator. The philosophical depth of Solomon's life reached its zenith in his later years, as he began to reflect on the nature of existence, wealth, and the fleeting passage of time. This introspective period is most vividly captured in the book of Ecclesiastes, where he famously declared that all is vanity. Despite sitting on a throne of ivory overlaid with the finest gold and having every desire of his heart fulfilled, Solomon realized that without a spiritual anchor, even the greatest human achievements are like chasing the wind. He spoke to the thinkers of his day about the cyclical nature of life, noting that there is a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot. His intellectual journey was not merely about accumulating facts but about understanding the end of the matter, which he concluded was to respect the divine and keep the commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. His international alliances, while bringing unprecedented peace, created a complex domestic environment that tested his spiritual integrity. Solomon had entered into a marriage treaty with the daughter of the Pharaoh of Egypt, an alliance that symbolized Israel's rise as a peer to the greatest empires of the Bronze Age. However, his harem eventually grew to include 700 wives and 300 concubines from the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites. As Solomon aged, the cultural and religious influences of these many foreign households began to pull at the fabric of his devotion. The same king who had dedicated the temple with such fervor now found himself allowing the construction of high places for Chemosh and Molech on the hill east of Jerusalem. This period of his life serves as a stark historical lesson on the dangers of compromise and the difficulty of maintaining a focused heart amidst the distractions of absolute power and pluralistic pressure. During this time of spiritual tension, the prophetic voice remained active in his life. The prophet Ahijah the Shilonite emerged as a significant figure, carrying a message that would define the future of the kingdom. Ahijah encountered Jeroboam, one of Solomon's capable taskmasters, and performed a symbolic act by tearing a new cloak into 12 pieces. He gave 10 pieces to Jeroboam, prophesying that because Solomon had turned away from the path of his father David, the United Kingdom would be ripped apart, leaving only 2 tribes to the house of David. Solomon, sensing the threat to his dynasty, attempted to kill Jeroboam, who then fled to Egypt for protection. This friction illustrated that even the wisest king could not outmaneuver the consequences of breaking the moral covenant that sustained his throne. In the Islamic tradition, Suleiman is portrayed as maintaining his righteousness until the very end, serving as a model of a king who never allowed his vast dominion to cloud his recognition of God's supremacy. The Quran tells a poignant story of his death. He passed away while leaning on his staff, and he remained in that position so still that the jinn working for him did not realize he had died. It was only when a creature of the earth, a tiny worm, gnawed through his staff and he fell that his death became apparent. This narrative highlights the theme that even the most powerful king is subject to the laws of mortality and that true knowledge of the unseen belongs to God alone. It serves as a final testament to his life of discipline and the silent authority he commanded over both the seen and unseen realms. Solomon's legacy is also found in the sheer volume of his creative output. He is said to have spoken 3,000 proverbs and composed 1,005 songs. These were not merely artistic endeavors but educational tools designed to train the next generation in the art of living well. His Song of Songs stands as one of the most beautiful pieces of ancient poetry, celebrating the intimacy and sanctity of human love, often interpreted as a metaphor for the relationship between the Creator and humanity. His influence on the development of wisdom literature cannot be overstated. He shifted the focus of religious thought from purely ritualistic laws to the practical application of ethics in daily life, commerce, and governance. As the sun set on the era of Solomon, the kingdom stood at a crossroads. He had built the most magnificent structure in the world, established trade routes that linked 3 continents, and written texts that would be studied for 3 millennia. Yet, the heavy taxation and forced labor required to sustain such grandeur had left the people weary. When his son Rehoboam took the throne, he lacked his father's discerning heart, leading to the very schism Ahijah had foretold. Solomon's life remains a multifaceted study in the heights of human potential and the vulnerabilities of the human soul. He showed that wisdom is the principal thing, yet even wisdom must be guarded with constant humility. He was a king who touched the stars with his intellect but struggled with the terrestrial pull of his own heart, leaving behind a story that continues to challenge every leader to seek insight, practice compassion, and remain dedicated to a purpose higher than themselves. Thanks for watching and see you next time with another religious personality.